Welcome back to PM with the Trigger as we continue our month-long celebration of freedom from the fear of public speaking. We've been doing this all month long, and we're back again on this Tuesday. And we're going to have a very exciting conversation today, a very unique one, because speakers want to make money. Professional speakers make a living at this. This is the way they make money. But there's also a fear that they might never make money doing this. And today we have an expert guest with us, that Hall of Fame speaker. Dr. Willie Jolley is my guest today. He's a world-class, award-winning speaker, singer, best-selling author, and media personality. In fact, he was named one of the outstanding 5 speakers in the world by Toastmasters International. He has also been inducted into the prestigious Speaker Hall of Fame and achieved the distinction of the Certified Speaker Professional by the National Speakers Association. Dr. Jolley was also named one of the top 5 leadership speakers by Speaker.com and Business Leader of the Year by the African American Chambers of Commerce. And if that's not enough, Dr. Willie is the number one authority on turning setbacks into comebacks. Welcome, Hall of Fame speaker, Dr. Willie Jolley, and let's bring him on in. Great to see you.
Well, it's a pleasure, a privilege, and a joy and a treasure to be able to be on with you. And I want to thank you, Rich, for having me, and blessings to you and your viewers, your listeners, your community, and great greetings to everybody. Most people know. Let me start, because somebody's gonna say he didn't do what he usually does. Okay, because anybody who knows me, every interview, every speech, every radio show I start with, I have only just a minute, only 60 seconds in it. Forced upon me, can't refuse it. Didn't seek it, didn't choose it, but it's up to me to use it. I must suffer if I lose it, give account if I abuse it. Just a tiny little minute, but our eternities are wrapped up in it. So I'm grateful for this minute, this moment, this opportunity to be on with my friend, Rich Trigger Bontrager.
Dr. Willie, I really appreciate that. And yes, you got to squeeze that in. Everyone's got to have that, man. That's part of the magic.
Somebody would complain if I didn't say that. I've got people say, "You didn't do the minute. You didn't do the minute."
Yeah, it would blow up and say, "That's not the real Dr. Willie. Get the real one on, please." So
right.
You have won many accolades, many awards, but go back in your journey. Did you ever have this fear that you would not make money as a professional speaker? Did you ever wrestle with this?
Well, yeah, I did. You know, let me tell you, for those who don't know, I was a nightclub singer, a jingle singer, a professional singer and performer. And I had built a successful nightclub act, had won the award for Best Jazz Singer 5 times in a row. Things were going great. But then one night I went in the nightclub and they said, "We made a change. We love your band, but we want to try something that's a lot cheaper than live entertainment. We're going to give this new thing a shot, karaoke." And that was during the karaoke craze. And I was stunned. Because we had big audiences every night, standing room only audiences, but they had to pay me on top of that. And their return on investment, I guess, was cheaper getting this karaoke machine. But at that point, karaoke machine had standing room only audiences, people lined up to go to karaoke. So they said, "We're going to go with that." But I did not know about the speaking business. I had no idea that there was such a thing as a speaking business. And so I took a job with the Washington, D.C. school system while I was trying to figure out what I was going to do with the rest of my life. And as part of my job, we had to give little speeches to kids about staying away from drugs. And that's where I found this ability to come and start speaking. And so a year into that, I was getting lots of invitations to come speak. They weren't paying a lot, but they were a lot of them, and there was some money. And I had to make a decision. So to answer your question, was there fear? Yes. Was there risk? Yes. And I learned that there are 4 questions you must ask yourself when you're about to take a big risk. Any risk. This is called risk decision formula. It's a formula for making decisions in the midst of risk. It's out of my book. Which book is it in? It's in my book, An Attitude of Excellence. I'm pretty sure it's in that book. In this risk-taking formula, here are the 4 things you must. And it's also in my marriage book, because there's going to be risk in your marriage.
Definitely.
Number one question: What's the best? What's the best that could happen if I take this chance, step out on this risk, or try this risk? Number two: What's the worst that could happen if I do this? What's the number three? Is what's the most likely thing to happen if I attempt this? And number four: Are you willing to live with the worst to get to the best?
Wow.
I'm
Those are
working.
fantastic.
I'm working in a job, making $27,000 a year. What's the best that could happen? I could live my dreams and make a lot more money. What's the worst that could happen? I could lose my house.
Mhm.
What's the most likely thing to happen? If I work hard enough, I can keep my head above water. Number four: Are you willing to live with the worst as long as death was not one of the options? Okay. I would not die. I just lose my house. I could get another house. Are you willing to live with the worst? Lose your house in order to get to the best. Live your dreams. Yes.
Those are great. I mean, everyone should be writing those down. That's gold from the Hall of Fame speaker, Dr. Willie Jolley. You know, during the speaker time, I've had great conversations. Speakers have made great money. And pandemic hit. And now we're coming out of the pandemic and the stage market has changed. There is a new rising fear of this because of what happened through pandemic, the virtual stage. The stages are smaller right now, and the fears come back of, I don't know if I can make money again doing this. Do you think it's a valid fear now where we sit in the world for our fellow speakers, or do you think we're kind of making this up a little bit?
It's a valid concern, not a fear. And I
Okay.
want to make sure people understand that. As he told you, I'm a Hall of Fame speaker. I'm named one of the top 5 speakers, all of that. That's because I've been doing this a long time.
Yes.
I'm in my 33rd year of speaking professionally. I've seen a lot in 33 years.
Yeah.
Okay. And I've seen a lot over my lifetime. I remember when I was a young guy, a young man, then the 1970s, there was a crisis in America with an oil embargo. And so people had to line up, depending on your license tag, on even or odd days to get gas.
Yes.
Then in the and then 2001, 2000, there was MK2 or what, MK, whatever it was, that the world was going to blow up. And then in 2001 was 9/11. And then in 2008, there was the bubble burst for tech, the recession. Then there's COVID. You know, so here's the lesson. Every decade, there's going to be a disruptive force that comes upon us. I don't know what's going to be the next one, but I know there's another one coming. So rather than worrying about fear of making money, what you think of is prepare for that in advance. Start thinking about that now. There's another one up the road. So what did I learn going through COVID that's making me say, I've got to make sure I have some resources, some tools, some buffers in place.
Yes.
So when it comes, I'm okay. Now that means that you start speaking now and you take the money you can get. It's still amazing amounts of money can be made.
Yes.
Even in a virtual environment, even in a lower economic environment, there's still a lot of money that can be made. So that's one. You start putting away money for a rainy day. You start planning new ways to create revenue streams. During COVID, you're right, speaking shut down. But I had some other revenue streams I had learned from the previous disruption. So I had a radio show. I had podcasts. I had daily video messaging. I had my publishing company. I had a number of things that were still viable, even though I could not speak live for about a year. And then I did a lot of virtual events, but and like you said, they weren't paying anywhere near what I was making live. Most, in fact, Rich, were calling saying, our budgets got cut. We really need you. We really need you. We don't got no money. Please. And I did not turn down one requests, not one during COVID, not one. Some people had no money. Some had
So,
$300, whatever. I just said, I'll help you.
well, A, you were still making a little bit of money. You were still servicing people, but you were diversifying. Everything
Yes.
you just said, being in the one lane as a speaker, as you and I both know, speakers have many lanes off of the speaking realm. Speakers need to learn that. They need to learn how to diversify through their speaking, not just be a speaker. And
Look,
that's a different mindset, isn't it?
it's a mindset. First of all, when you think of yourself just as a speaker, you just give up, you get up and talk. But when you think of yourself as a content creator, a inspirational person of hope, then speaking is just one of the delivery systems that you will use to get your messaging out to the world. I get my messaging out through speaking, but I get it out through my books. I get it out through my XM show. I get it out through my daily syndicated radio show. I get it out through my podcast. I get it out through my daily video programming. I get it out through my new music program and product. I get it out through this new project we're doing called the One Man Show. It's a Broadway one-man show, theatrical show that we do every Saturday night. We've been doing it in Washington, D.C. People come from all over the country to go and see that. So you know what? I get it out in multiple ways. And so I don't limit the fact that I have to only get it out through speaking. I get it out through all of these ways, and it just keeps expanding.
Well, and also there are seasons, it seems like you said, there are those different runs of every 10 years, but those are seasons. Even as a speaker, I may have a run of great phone calls, great success. And there's always that little pause, the holidays, different times. So again, like going back to your first comment, you need to plan for this.
Right.
You need to have a system to have things saved away, know the cycle of speaking versus just thinking every month you're going to fill the same gap. You're not going to fill the same bucket.
It took me a while to figure it out that you're really only going to be working about, even in you're hot, about 10 months out the year.
Yes.
Nobody's speaking during Christmas week.
No.
Very little speaking during Thanksgiving week. People have a vacation week. And then there are 5 or 6 national holidays. That is another week. So that's 4 weeks, okay, that go. And then you've got, so that's 1 month gone. And then you got your family time. You might have your kids, or somebody getting married. Somebody dies in your family. You know, all of these things take a point. And so you've got to plan. We've started planning on a 10-month calendar that we're going to be working about 10 months. And then I want to have a life too. You know, I want to have a life. The speaking is a great joy for me. I love it, but I also enjoy my family. I enjoy my friends. I enjoy my home. Now that COVID has, forced me home after 30 years of travel. Yeah. I was on the Get Motivated tour. I replaced Zig Ziglar when he died on the Get Motivated tour. And so I was in 2 cities a week, me and Les Brown and Damon John and Tom Hopkins and others. We were doing 2 cities a week every week for 4 or 5 years. Well, once COVID shut it down, I'm at home. Well, I learned that I like my house. I like my bed. I like my community. I like being able to get up and go places in Washington, D.C. So now that we're pretty much past COVID, I still like my house. So now I'm thinking of new ways that I can fit my business to my lifestyle rather than making my life conform to my business.
I love that because that's exactly what many are trying to figure out, the new world we live in. And that's where
Let me say this. Very important. Many people will see a successful speaker and say, I'm going to be like them.
Right.
I'm gonna do what they do. And here's what you got to understand. Their life might not be your life. So you need to make your life, your goal, and your system work for your speaking. Les Brown was the preeminent speaker when I started speaking. Yeah. And Les was on the road all the time. But Les didn't have a wife. He had children, but he didn't have a set place he had to go. So he would go anywhere. He could be on the road all the time. I had a wife. I had children. I had a home. And so I realized that was not the model I needed to look to. And so I started looking at what model works for me and what one did I build my life around. There's another guy named Michael Ahn, real quick. Michael Ahn was he was a world champion of Toastmasters, but that was his,
Yeah.
hobby per se. He was a insurance salesman in Columbia, South Carolina. He had 3 little boys, and he really enjoyed coaching their football, basketball, baseball team. And so when he won the world champion Toastmaster, he got elevated into being able to become a professional speaker. But then he made a critical decision. He said, I do not want to travel because I want to coach my sons. I want to be here for my family. I want to see my kids grow up, and I want to be everyday activity. So he moved from South Carolina to Orlando, Florida. He affiliated with the Convention and Visitors Bureau in Orlando. He became a member. He got the pre information when people were booking the convention center, then bringing their convention in. He sent an email to their marketing or their director or their meetings professional and said, how would you like to have a world champion speaker to open or close your convention and not have to pay travel and not have to pay hotel? He was booked like crazy. So every week he'd get up in the morning on a Monday or Tuesday or whatever day it was. He'd drive his kids to school. He'd drive to the convention center. He'd give a great speech. He'd sign some books. He'd finish, go back to his office. He'd work a few hours in his insurance business, and then he'd go coach his kids baseball. He never traveled. He did that for 30 years.
Wow. That's building a plan for you, customized for you, your needs, your desires, your wants. And that's really being in control, which is what we all want. We want that control. Before we kind of wind down, we're both men of faith. When you hear this question, the fear of making money, as a believer, what would you tell to a brand new speaker stepping up, knowing that we both believe in faith and trusting God with our finances? What would you say?
First of all, I would say that faith, the difference between fear and faith. Fear is false evidence appearing real. F-E-A-R, false evidence appearing real. Faith is finding answers in the heart. F-A-I-T-H, finding answers in the heart. What's that joy that's in your heart, that burning desire that you really want to do? Then you let that lead you rather than hearing the voice of fear. And you overcome it and use your faith that God has given you a gift, an ability. My mentor is 94 years old, Dave Yoho. And Dave Yoho, I called him recently. He's in fact on my XM. He was on my XM show coming up this week. He was on last week, but you can go to my podcast and get his interview. 94, still works every day. But here's what he told me when I asked him. He said, God gave me a gift to be able to speak. And I'm going to use it till I have no more ability to breathe. He said, and I'm a lifetime learner. And people wonder how I keep going at 94 because I decided to keep going and not sit back in a rocking chair and just let this gift waste. I'm using it. I'm encouraging you, don't focus on your fears. We all have fears. We were born with fears that have been part of our defense mechanism. But focus on your faith, finding the answers in the heart, and then let God use you to do what you were born to do and do it with a spirit of excellence, and you'll win.
I knew you would have a great answer for that. I knew you would. By the way, Dr. Willie has an amazing website. He is speaking, doing the one-man show, so many different things. What are they going to find on your website?
winwithwillie.com, winwithwillie.com. In fact, that's a site that has all my sites. I got a number of sites. I got my faith-based site. I got my marriage site, my youth motivation site. I got my speaker training site for people who want to be speakers. I got my corporate site. I've got my music site. I got all of these sites. If you go to winwithwillie.com, you get access to all of them, some free goodies there, and just go and get them, and I'll gift to you, and just be blessed and have a great day and make a decision that your best is yet to come.
Hit that QR code. Learn more about Dr. Willie Jolley. Amazing Hall of Fame, world-class speaker. Thank you, Willie, for taking the time and joining us here today.
My friend Rich, it's an honor to be on your show. I close with this. Follow your dream wherever it leads. Don't be distracted by less worthy needs. Shelter it, nourish it, help it to grow. Hold your dream deep, down deep where dreams flow. Follow your dream, pursue it with haste. Life is too precious, too fleeting to waste. Be faithful, be loyal, and all the day through, the dream that you follow will keep coming true. God bless you.
Dr. Willie Jolley, thank you for being here today. Amazing. That's why we're doing this, talking about the different fears. This entire month, the entire month of July is freedom from the fear of public speaking, and we nailed it today. We'll be back again. And now we're doing them every Tuesday, every Thursday. We'll be back again on Thursday with more freedom from the fear of public speaking. And of course, if you ever want to learn more, contact me, rich@richbontrigger.net. Until next time, I'm The Trigger, saying so long, farewell.